Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani. That's a former attorney for Trump. Well, he reportedly is the mastermind behind the December 2020 efforts to essentially put forward those illegitimate electors in 7 states in hopes of ensuring Trump would get the presidential victory, which he did not. According to the Washington Post, the Trump electors gathered in plain sight, assisted by campaign officials and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani, who said publicly that the rival slates were necessary and appropriate. Internally, Giuliani oversaw the effort, according to the former campaign officials and party leaders who spoke on the condition of anonymity. One of the people familiar with the plan said Giuliani was assisted at times by an anchor from the right-wing network OAN. Now, the effort here was that the Republican electors declared themselves duly elected and qualified and sent signed certificates to Washington claiming to affirm Trump as the winner in 5 states. He had actually lost Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin. And some Republican electors were so uncomfortable with the Giuliani scheme that they refused to take part in it. So the campaign scrambled to help electors gain access to Capitol buildings, as is required in some states, and to distribute draft language for the certificates that would later be submitted to Congress. The campaign also worked to find replacements for the electors who were unable to participate or unwilling. Among the unwilling were a state GOP chairman, a lawmaker who was one of the first in Congress to endorse Trump, and the son of legendary Republican Senator Johnny Isakson. Now, how it was expected to play out is this. The fake slates were later intended to provide then VP Pence with a stable of ready electors to replace those legitimately representing the will of the American people. Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, received text messages proposing the strategy, said, "I love it." Meadows responded, and Meadows responded to subsequent messages about potentially appointing alternate electors by saying, "We have a team on it." And Boris Epstein, Trump's campaign advisor, said this was in total congruence with the overall effort to send it back to the states. And as you may know, on Tuesday, the January 6th committee went ahead and subpoenaed Epstein, Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and Sidney Powell, all attorneys who played a role in advancing Trump's big lie theory, undermining the 2020 election. Jank.
Yeah, so this was a real coup. And people need to focus on this, and there needs to be massive consequences. So there was no chance that the rioters on January 6th were going to take the building and keep the building and get the United States military to do what they said. So that was never going to work. It was wildly illegal, and they should have all been arrested, and they were, generally speaking. But the people doing the real coup were not the rioters. It was these apparatchiks for Donald Trump, like Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. And the plan was, as Adrian basically just explained it there, that they would, but I'll give it more details here. Mike Pence would say, "I'm not certifying the elections." Now that has no force of law, so it's irrelevant, we thought. But the plan was, once he says that, they then bring in these fake electors from the swing states and say, now we're certifying the elections, but not with the real electors, but with the fake electors. And so now Trump has won the election. Now, none of that is in the law. It's totally made up, but that's what a coup is. You go outside the law and you control the media and other parts of this. And as long as you can get the military to go along, you won. You didn't win doing it legally or constitutionally, but in fact, you will have destroyed our democracy and our government. But that's what a coup is. So when you see that they were claimed and signed things, papers, certificates saying that they were, quote, duly elected and qualified, that is not just a forgery. It definitely is a forgery, and you should definitely go to prison over that. But it's a perjury and forgery in pursuit of an actual insurrection against this country. So whoever participated in it and signed those papers, and whoever organized it, like Rudy Giuliani, and if it goes up to Trump, yes, Trump should be arrested for an actual insurrection.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I will also save my thoughts on this for an episode of Overruled, so you can check that out on Rebel Headquarters. And I'm going to pass it to Bridget to go ahead and share with what time we have.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't have much to add. I think that you're exactly right. I loved how you called this the real coup. The real coup was not what happened on January 6th that we all saw. It was this coordinated effort to overthrow the election in front of all of our faces. And I want to know who else knew about this, who else signed off on this. And I'm so glad that y'all are covering this story, because I think the inclination is to sort of put it behind us, but we can't do that. I think that this is such a good framing of this was a conspiracy and a coup, and we need to know like who else was involved in this. So I'm so happy that y'all are amplifying this story, and I completely agree with you, Cenk.
Yeah, and here I'll end on the Democrats' culpability here, because if Barack Obama had that absurd saying when asked if he was going to hold Bush and the others accountable for torture, warrantless wiretapping, and all the law breaking that they did while they were in office, and he said, "We look forward, we don't look backward." Well, under that philosophy, you would never prosecute anyone because all crimes are in the past. Now, when you do that, what does it do? It encourages criminality. And by the way, that's exactly what we got. The bankers were incredibly encouraged, and there was no consequences. None of them ever went to jail, and they continued to largely do the fraud that caused the 2008 crash in the first place. Now, when you do that with democracy, and you tell anyone, but certainly the right wing in this case, oh, you're allowed to try to do a coup after every election, and don't worry if you don't succeed, we're not going to punish you. We're not going to uphold the law. There are going to be no consequences. Well, that's a green light for them to try it the next time and the next time until it works. So the Democrats and prosecutors must hold them accountable. They must go to jail over this. If they don't, then a future coup is nearly guaranteed.
Absolutely agree. That's right. They have to have some kind of repercussions. And without it, we're just going to see this again.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.